Hi, my name is Carrie Moore. I'm the head women's basketball coach at Harvard University.
First of all, Coach, just overall, how did you like the panel discussion and, this whole symposium and what went down today?
Yeah, it was great. I'm glad I was able to kind of come in right at the tail end and play hopefully a huge role in these guys' experience today. But I think it's important. I think it's especially with folks that are in charge of youth sports, right? Like to really talk about how we can be better and plan for our upcoming seasons, because I think especially at the youth level, those coaches are so impactful, to young people's experience. So we've got to make sure they show up as their best, and are really excited about what they're able to do.
And coaching is, as I said, coaching is a 24/7, 365-day job. You're a coach, you're a parent, you're a counselor, you're all that, right? For yourself, how do you just take the time to also make sure you have time for yourself to kind of, reflect, decompress, get your mind right? Because once the season starts, well, you guys it's year round, but once the season fully starts, it's just full go ahead, and you don't really have that downtime for yourself like that.
Yeah, I've really learned, by mistakes, honestly, right? Like, I've felt what it feels like to not take great care of myself. So I think, I've really prioritized that. And I think as you age and you get older and your body's not able to recover and do the things that it used to do, and you don't feel as good when you wake up in the morning, and you got to worry about diet and different things that you can do outside of basketball, that really add to your overall health. I think is just top of mind for me as I grow in my coaching. So yeah, it's fun to kind of prioritize as much as I prioritize others. It's important. It's like integral that I prioritize myself. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right. The ever changing landscape of basketball, college game, with the outside stuff that besides what goes on the court, but the changing landscape of college basketball, right? In your opinion, how were you able to keep your program, adrift with the changing of the landscape of college basketball?
Yeah, I think I'm lucky because I work at Harvard, and the degree is, as much as things change, right? Like the Harvard degree really stays the same in terms of the impact that it can have, on our athletes and their futures, and their families' futures. So I think we're able to, no matter what is being offered, currently to them at other places, I think, what we can offer from a 4-year to forever experience, and, how that degree is going to set them up for life. I think that is something that, is really consistent with our overall message.
Yeah. What is the biggest advice that you gotten when you was coming up, not only as a player but as a coach? What's some of the advices that you got, that you received, that you still hold to this day, that kind of carry you through the days?
Yeah, I think like just staying true to myself and really not trying to be, any other coach or anyone else, that I may see and, admire or like what they're doing, right? But it's like, no, like know who you are, right? Like know who I am, and be that, and don't try to be anybody else. I think authenticity is really important as a coach, especially a head coach, because our players can see right through, the falseness. So, I've really tried to just trust my gut and know that I am very much prepared for the role that I'm in, and, to trust the process.
Yeah, definitely. These are some of the questions that they asked me to ask you.
Yeah.
What advice would you give youth sports parents?
Youth sports parents. Oh, that's a good one. Really honestly, just let your kid have their experience, right? Be there for them, and but I think there's, there are coaches for a reason, right? And I think coaches and parents are two different things, and really kind of navigating that. I know it's a fine line, but really being able to navigate that in the best possible way, and be more of a cheerleader at times too.
What are 3 things you would tell youth basketball coaches to focus on with their players?
3 things for them to focus on with their players. I think just really growing them as communicators. I think really growing their voice is important. I go to high school practices and it's silent, right? Like, and you just cannot play the game silent at the college level. And that's just on the court. Off the court, what type of voice do they have, and how can they grow in their confidence, as a communicator? That's one. I think 2, just really preaching team. I think there's so many different things that are preaching self right now, and So just really, shifting that focus back to team. And the last thing is just like developing that kind of like hard work, that ethic like that I grew up with of, it's about the grind, and you don't just get handed things, even though some are getting handed things right now, but there's a level of work that must, be put in if you want to receive.
Definitely. Why is it important to you for women to become more involved in coaching?
I think it's incredibly important. I think we play it's women's basketball, right? So I think young girls should be coached by people that look like them, act like them, talk like them, have gone through things that they've gone through before. You look at any men's sport, and the majority of the men's coaches are men, right? So why is that any different on the women's side? And I think there's something really powerful about women coaching women, because we can relate, and I think it provides them an opportunity to really look up to someone that they can see in themselves.
What is one thing you wish there was more of in youth sports, and why?
What do I wish there was more of in youth sports? Ooh, probably maybe, I think just more emphasis. I know I've kind of already said this, but like more emphasis on team. I think everyone, especially in the basketball world, I can't really speak on other sports, but like, everybody wants a trainer now, and they're just doing individual workouts, and it's like, why don't you just go play pickup at the Y or Lifetime Fitness, or play with other people. Basketball, you play basketball with 5 players on the floor, not one player or 2 players at a time. So I think it's really important to just kind of fall back in love with the game and learning how to play the sport by playing the sport, and not just focusing on yourself and your own skills.
Yeah, definitely. National Coaches Day is October 6th. Okay. Is there a coach that you would like to say thank you for their impact on you?
Yeah, I think 2 come to mind, and I'll just keep it short. One's my high school coach, and he is like a grandfather to me, and Coach O's somebody that I very much look up to and aspire to be, and really want to have the impact on my players as he had on me. And then the other one is Dawn Staley. I think she's just incredible, and really just keeps paving the way for young black female coaches like myself, and just really hope that I can be, a quarter of how successful, that she's been at this level. So those would be my 2.
And lastly, what is the biggest advice that you would give to incoming college freshmen who are embarking on their college basketball journey?
Yeah, just know that there's going to be bumps in the road. Adversity is a guarantee throughout your day. But if you know that that's part of it, and you're ready to, really shift and handle and, kind of alter things a little bit and learn and be curious, I think, you're going to be okay. But it's an exciting time. It's such a fun experience to have. And, there's nothing like, playing collegiate sports.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we end this?
Just shout out my staff. They're my rock, and I wouldn't be as successful as I am without them. So shout out to Harvard women's basketball staff.
Coach, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.